Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chaotic Harmony. I'm sitting here with my friends. Say hi, guys.
Hey!
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about arts integration. So let's just go ahead and we're just going to jump right into it.
Let's do it.
So, does anyone want to share their thoughts on arts integration? Like, what do you think arts integration is? And then I have what the Kennedy Senator defines arts integration as.
Yeah.
Well, Webster's Dictionary.
It's your favorite thing, John. I know you like it.
Yeah.
John doesn't like it when we define things like the dictionary.
Yeah, if you
This
have
is
Oxford,
really
that'd be good, but
This is Kennedy Center.
cool.
Yeah. No, and the Kennedy Center has a great definition of
Yeah.
it. Thank you for that word.
Yeah.
Arts integration is something that is there's a lot of buzz about it, and so it's something that our district is kind of trying to promote. And are you going to talk about how the Kennedy Center has the difference between arts enhanced curriculum and arts integrated curriculum? Because okay, good, because I really like that a lot,
Yeah.
and I think it's important. So I think for years there's been arts enhanced curriculum, and like as my art teacher and I have been establishing our programs at Finney over the last 4 years or so, we have dug through lots of closets, and everybody has somewhere, if they've been teaching for any length of time at the school, a kit for like integrating art into the classroom, or a CD that came with the social studies curriculum with songs to enhance the curriculum. They're terrible. I've gone through them hoping that I could find something usable.
I've received also a bunch of tape cassettes as well. I haven't looked through them, but I take your word for it.
I've heard some of the chants that people come up with.
Oh, the glad
like
chants.
for Farmer and the Dell. And I understand
yeah.
the process behind it, but some of them, it's like that you can't fit that many words into a sentence and try to make it rhyme.
Example?
Right.
I'm curious.
I don't have one off the top of my head.
I have one I can share with you later that's about citizenship that's a little problematic, but like one of the rules that we learn in ORF, well, and the content is fine, and the idea is that we put something to a familiar rhyme or song so the kids learn the content, because music is glue, right? So like the idea is certainly fine and well intentioned, but we're not using it to teach musical skills.
Yes.
So that's where we run into it, and to issues. And in ORF training, when we did our homework, the rule was Cindy Giebler. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
We love you and miss you.
We have a story later for you. It's true.
Please hold. We had the rule that we couldn't fit more like the word couldn't have more syllables than we had, rhythms or beats or whatever. Like you can't, it wasn't allowed. So anyway,
I recognize that because it happened on my homework quite frequently. It's fine.
it is fine.
So this
it's
is all arts
tricky.
enhanced, right?
Well, so I don't
into
want to take it from Mark, but where it's all coming from, I recently learned this. Did you guys know that since 1995, it has actually been mandated that like 1st through 6th grade children will receive the arts as part of their school day in California schools? There's a law in the books. Did you know that? I didn't know that until recently.
I don't
In Ed
think
Code.
anyone.
California Ed Code.
But yeah, it's in the Ed Code, and I can look it up and we can post it later. But there's no oversight is kind of what it came down to.
Sure.
Districts had to police themselves. So
Yeah.
it's been important, and I think every few years somebody went, wait, this is supposed to be happening because there's a law on the books.
Right.
So you have all these products that come along with curriculum.
Yeah.
Yeah, too, and that were well intentioned. But so now we're trying to kind of take that to the next level with our music programs.
Absolutely.
Some of us. So Mark,
Yeah.
tell us what you know.
I just up front, my school is a partnership with an organization called Turnaround Arts and Turnaround Arts California. And basically, our partnership helps us use the arts as a tool for the whole entire school, for our culture, for kids, for teachers, everything for arts integration. And so, being part of this, we at our site we have an arts leadership team, and so the leadership team kind of takes a spearheading the arts. And so, as part of that, we got to go to a training. And I sat through an arts integration training by the wonderful Dr. Akita Long, and she talked about arts integration. So the Kennedy Center defines it as this: arts integration is an approach to teaching in which students construct and demonstrate understanding through an arts form. Students engage in a creative process which connects an art form and another subject area and meets evolving objects in both. So she took that and then broke it down into an arts ecosystem into 3 categories. Okay. There is arts as the curriculum, arts integrated curriculum, and arts enhanced curriculum. So with what that is we are arts as curriculum teachers. So
right.
we
We're
base everything right. So as specialists, we base everything that we teach into the art standards. Mm-hmm. Arts enhanced curriculum is kind of taking a song and adding it to a lesson to enhance that lesson. Okay. Arts integrated curriculum takes the standards from whatever it is that is being taught, and also takes an art standard and kind of fuses them together. So the assessment at the end is assessing both on the front of the knowledge based out of that subject, and then also an arts based assessment. So that's kind of the difference between a truly arts integrated and an arts enhanced lesson. Make sense?
Recap. Were there 2 or 3 types?
3 types.
3 types.
Arts as the curriculum. So kind of what we teach.
Got it. Okay.
Arts enhanced. So kind of just use a song to teach, and that's not okay. That's great. And so arts enhancement is great. We love arts enhancement.
Put content to a chant.
Right.
And that's how the kids remember it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then an arts integrated lesson looks like at the end of this lesson, the students are going to create we've been on break for a couple weeks, and so my mind is kind of mush right now.
By the end of this lesson, children will use like dance movement or some sort of like visual movement to illustrate landforms.
Right. Okay. Or students will use Tableau to recreate the setting and the characters of a story.
There you go.
If they're working on setting and characters.
Yeah.
So that particular lesson is then you are assessing, are the students able to do the tableau? Are the students able to show the movement and do that? And then are the students able to kind of recreate and do the show and understanding of the story? So if it was settings, like what does the tableau look like? If it's taking place on an island, are they showing things that might be an island? Or like if it's a forest, are there trees? Or if it's a desert, just so kind of those type of things. Okay. So with that, they kind of touched upon the California art standards. Mm-hmm. And so I know for me personally, when I've looked at them, I'm like, ugh, they're so broad. Like they're terrible because they're so broad. Like it could mean a bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. But in fact, they're broad, but that allows all teachers to access them, not just VAPA teachers.
That's true.
And so like for me, looking at that and taking a step back and realizing, okay, that's why they're broad, is so that general education teachers can integrate these fully into the curriculum.
Yeah, it's not meant to be a scope and sequence. It's meant to be standards.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then with that though, like you can see K to 6,
right,
where that happens.
They spiral back around to each other too. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you learn about dynamics or tempo one year and then you never touch on them again. They spiral back around in first grade and second grade, but every year they're more complex. Mm-hmm. And nuanced.
Yeah. So I think just kind of where I want to take this, and I know Crystal, you at your school are aiming towards this, and John and Zoe maybe not quite yet as a full school. But how do you think you can advocate to your teachers or your administration like arts integration needs to happen? Like it's not enough. And then we had talked in a previous episode about school culture. So if we are able to use an arts integration as a tool to help shape that culture of our school, like how would you see yourself going about that?
Do you mind if I interject a question before that?
Yeah, please.
Did any of you guys have a sense of arts integration in your education growing up?
Kind of.
Do you guys remember any sense, not enhancement, but arts integration?
We did a mission project in like 4th grade, so we had to like do a bunch of research on a mission, and then our teacher gave us the choice of how to build it, and so with my dad we built an actual mission.
Okay.
That is a classic California 4th grade project.
Yes. Yep.
My mom made a mission in 4th grade.
Aww.
Yep.
So it was really interesting as you were describing so eloquently, Mark, and succinctly what arts integration and enhancement and arts are. I was, taking a little trip down memory lane in my mind, and like my most valued educational moments, like that I take pride in, were arts integrated. And I remember at the time thinking, and mostly in high school and in college, but I remember at the time thinking, wow, like I pulled one over on my teacher. Like I'll give you an example. In the 9th grade, we read The Odyssey by Homer. And my English teacher was a music major. He went to Boston University and he played the cello. So I knew that about him. And so I thought, oh, like, I can get away with, instead of writing an essay, I'm going to make a mixtape. It was like a burned CD. And so I found like 15 tracks that I related to the Odyssey, that I thought told a story that was similar to the Odyssey. So there was like Bob Dylan all along the Watchtower, and there was there a Kanye West? It was just so fun for me.
Yeah.
And then when I went to college and I was a performance major, I minored in writing, and so I thought like, wow, I'm like pulling one over on the university this time, like, because I would write about music and I would like create things that were poetry, but they were also music.
Yeah.
So I'm like so intrigued. I want to learn more about arts integration. How do I teach this?
Definitely.
It's so cool.
I think our education in California can feel really siloed when it comes to all the different subjects. But kids only benefit when we're talking to each other and integrating our lessons more with each other across classes and subject lines. I was thinking, as you were talking, Zoe, when I went to middle school in Birmingham, Alabama, at Gresham Middle School, I was in the accelerated program, and it was the first time that I'd experienced full arts integration in school. There was just this brilliant team of teachers. Their job was kind of to get the kids ready for the IB program in the high school, just like bring it up to that level. And it was the hardest I'd worked in school in a long time. And there was this amazing social studies teacher, Mrs. Gulliver, and she really brought all of that to life. I remember like medieval times like really vividly because of the things that she did. Like there was this one time we were learning about like the map of the medieval world, and we had to make a map and like make a castle and all of the different people that made like that whole like area run, you know, like, and all the different rules. We had to make a marketplace and make goods to barter for with each other.
That's awesome.
When we studied cathedrals, we had to do tableau. Now looking back on it, she didn't call it tableau, but that's totally what it was, to illustrate very Orff style with our bodies, like the different structures. And I'll never forget like learning about buttresses, and like the team that had to do the buttresses like got in position. This kid goes, "Nice buttresses."
Of course.
Oh, it was 7th grade. Yeah, it was very memorable. Yeah.
Similarly, I had an 8th grade teacher. She taught both English and social studies, and her name was Linda Matlock. Or Reynolds. No, it's Matlock. And she had us, there were so many opportunities for us to utilize creativity inside her class. For example, I remember we had to read a book based off of the Civil War times. And so you had to choose which side you're going to read a book on, the South or the North. But the thing was, you had to do 4 pieces of works. And in those 4, you could choose which specifically you wanted to do. Like, for example, one of them is like in section A, you could either write a paper, or you could write a song. That was another option you could do. And so she gave a lot of options, but a lot of them were very geared towards the arts. One thing I really remember is during the Civil War sessions that she had us write letters, to imagine that we were writing a letter to someone else. But it was creative writing, even though it's still writing. It's the creative aspect of it, and so we were supposed to try to imagine what if you were inside, what if you were part of the war and you were writing to a family member.
That's very immersive.
Very much so, and so we had to write 6 letters to a family member, and so it was very well. The projects I remember the most were geared or rooted in the arts.
And an imagination.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Creativity. Love it.
Every year, our 6th grade team at my school, they do a living museum. There it is. And so they study about Egypt, and they do a bunch of Egyptian stuff. So the kids have to make costumes, and they have to like dress as an Egyptian, the character. And then other classes get to come in, and they're frozen, and they push the button and they come alive and they talk about their character.
That's so cool.
But it's integrated because they're also being assessed on their costume. They're also being assessed with how they act, and are they, acting like a queen, or are they acting like a, soldier, or whatever it is from that time.
Okay.
And so I think that portion of the assessment at the end is what helps tie it into fully arts integration rather than just an arts enhancement. Yeah. So with that, our school we're in our second year of Turnaround Arts, of this partnership, and we're learning how to do it. And so I think one of the challenges that can be faced up, that teachers can face up, classroom teachers especially, is there's not enough time. So how would you, thinking about, like, how could you talk to somebody or tell somebody you can interweave this in what you're already teaching? Like, how would you have that conversation? Because that's something that I struggle with at my site, of just like, I know that you're teaching this science lesson or the science unit, but you can add this and use this, and like, I don't know the language, and I was wondering if anyone might have an idea of language that you could use with your colleagues.
That's so hard, because here we are telling teachers after years and years where they've achieved mastery, in a particular subject area, and they've always done something some way, well, there's just this way, I've always done it. And they feel successful to say, oh, but there's a better way. I understand the resistance. I understand it. And especially since time is our most finite resource, we don't have enough hours in the school day to do all the things. I think that the message needs to come not just from us. It needs to come from a lot of different angles. It needs to come from parents who are saying that they want their kids to be exposed to creativity as much as possible. It needs to come from administration, and they need to have an understanding that what we're asking general education teachers who are already overworked to do is hard. And to just provide lots of support and understanding and room for imperfection.
So you want to go, John?
I think one thing that is important for this is, again, time is finite, and just proposing that you need to, having the need for arts integration, to proposing that is not enough. I think what would be helpful is taking the extra step and actually creating a lesson for them to do it. And that way, if it fails, at least they didn't spend the time trying to devise something that's not in their wheelhouse of understanding, supposedly.
So when you were posing that question, Mark, I thought back to when I was doing my master's in Los Angeles, and it was around winter when we were all supposed to be thinking about where we were going to do our student teaching. In our program, we had to seek out schools. It was kind of, I don't know if that's how you guys did it at Point Loma, but anyway. So I had a classmate that she ended up doing her student teaching at a charter school in LA called Renaissance Arts Academy. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's a arts integrated school, and they've got an incredible story. It was basically a one-room schoolhouse. They took a shoe store, a shoe warehouse, and they turned it into a high school, and now it's third, at least at that time it was third grade to 12th grade. Wow. But to give you an idea of what they were doing, I went to see their spring performance. So they had been working on it for a very long time, and all students either took contemporary dance or learned a string instrument. Every student. And it was a very intense pursuit of learning that discipline. But the final performance was The Rite of Spring.
Oh.
Edith Piaf and Tupac Shakur, amongst other artists, playing off book. It was memorized, telling the story through movement. It was so cool. So I was blown away. But then talking to my classmate about how that school runs, I've never seen another school like it. She said that it was really challenging for her because she wasn't allowed to do anything. Their philosophy is that you need to observe for 3 months before you start teaching there.
Oh.
So I think that, like, because I've bumped into, like, that tension, like where a classroom teacher wants you to integrate, you know, like they want your tools, or like vice versa, where I want to incorporate their content into my teaching, but then we don't know how to. So I feel like us granting ourselves like that grace period of let's just like allow ourselves to observe for a long time, and like maybe like that's a year for us, because realistically we're not going to get into classrooms, well, at least for me on my schedule, I'm not going to get into K through 6 classrooms every week.
Right.
It might be once a month for a while.
That is such an important perspective, Zoe, and I think that it would go such a long way in building a bridge, just to say, yeah, I know she's been in my room.
Yeah.
I know she knows how I do things. Yeah, we have begun a school-wide arts integration project this year for the first time. Our principal is just amazing. Beverly is amazing, and I really appreciate her leadership and how much she embraces VAPA. And she really wants it to be a school-wide thing, that the kids just understand the connections that they're making in VAPA to their normal everyday projects, because there are tons of connections, but kids don't think that way. You know, even with like for example, they don't understand cognates. You know, an English learner doesn't understand the words that are, you know, very similar in English and Spanish until you spell it out, and I can't remember a single cognate right now to give an example.
Like correr.
There you
Correr means to run.
There you go.
And like a courier.
There you go.
Is someone who delivers mail and like will deliver things.
There you go. Yeah, but they don't understand those connections until you make it for them. You know what I mean?
French,
Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah.
It is
example?
more. Yeah, that's fine.
That's okay.
Loose, light.
You mean
Yeah.
you're not
Hey.
loose?
There you go. But there's so many of them that we're like, oh, that word is the same in English and Spanish, but a kid doesn't understand that until you spell it out. So, we've done a couple of things to try to get integration going at our school this year, and we have no blueprint to follow, and I think that's been the hardest. You know, we're kind of inventing this from the ground up. So, we started with working with the La Jolla Playhouse. They have an artist program, a teaching artist program. So they have been coming in and working for a quarter with 2 grade levels each time. Like they just got done working with 3rd and 4th grade. And so it's 2 drama, you know, professionals who go in and they will create a unit with each grade level and then work with them for a quarter. And so they come in like 2 hours a week to help co-teach it. So they teach them ideas like levels, tableau, being aware of where your audience is, performance decorum, those sort of things. And then work on whatever, like 3rd grade did landforms, which was really neat, like, you know, desert and mountain and plateau and bodies of water. I can't remember what 4th grades was. I think it was something that had to do with character development and storytelling. And it's been interesting to see how that's gone. It's been, it's kind of this like professional development thing for the teachers. That's how it's laid forth. And so it's like, here's some more tools for you to put in your toolbox as an educator, but it's hard because it takes up a significant chunk of instruction time. You know, 2 hours a week is a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's all new language, and then it's like outside of normal, you know, collaboration. So the teachers are already planning so much, and here they're taking something that they might have been familiar with in a different way and just having to think about it differently and bringing different voices in. Yeah. So I like that input of come observe and find out how we run things before you have input over it. I feel like it feels very respectful to the master, you know, teacher that's already, you know, doing really good things. And the first time my art teacher and I, you know, entered a room, we really respect all of our colleagues, but we don't get to watch them teach. They don't watch us teach. When we're teaching, they're collaborating. And so that comes down to like time, I think. Like, how are we going to have time to go into 14 different classrooms and observe? And when we're teaching their kids, they need to be collaborating. They schedule every minute. So it's tricky. It's really tricky. So, and I think everybody needs to be valued for what they bring to the table, and you have to start with that foundation of trust and respect in each other before you can have a useful collaboration. So, yeah, it's been a fun experiment, though. We've had some really great successes. We've had some things that did not work, but we learned that.
Sure.
Yeah.
As we were hashing this out, lots of gears are turning.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe it's something
we're all over
that's
the
just
place.
right. It's something that's just offered, and like if you want to sign up to do it, you sign up, and you only work with those teachers who are interested in it.
Yeah. Starting small.
Yeah. And then maybe if you have like, I don't know, every school has those teachers who are just willing to jump in and try something new.
Yeah.
Like, and then you have those teachers who are comfortable with the way they teach things, and that's fine, like both ways.
Yeah.
But if we want to get our schools towards an arts integration, like a full arts integration, then everyone should eventually like be doing it in some capacity. But then I wonder then if you do have like a smaller team, and then whatever is created is displayed and celebrated and showcased, maybe then that'll pique the interest of the other teachers.
Yeah.
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 And then maybe those teachers can kind of pass the torch and like start modeling for other teachers, and that could be cool.
We have a shared document where we just keep track of what we've been doing, and I've been trying to write in as much detail as possible. Beverly created the document, and I've been going and just trying to fill it out. It's so that she knows what we've been talking about, but also anybody can log in and check it out at any time they want to and see like, oh, okay, that's what second grade did. And those were the roles of the classroom teachers versus the art teacher versus the music teacher. And maybe we could do something similar. So that's been helpful, just having a way to gather what we've already done and whether it worked or not.
Let me ask you this, because I'm curious. If in the spirit of arts integration, if that's the direction that your school eventually wants to go to, not saying that either your school, John or Zoe, wants to do it, but I know mine and Crystal, like that's the direction that we're headed. Do you think it would be wise, or do you think we should, as the music teachers, learn the standards of the general teachers?
I don't see that any harm in that at all. I think that it behooves us to be experts in what our kids are going through as much as possible. I'm just curious, just on a human level, what my kids are learning about. I think it's valuable. What do you think?
I definitely think it's valuable. Just the question, valuable? Yes, definitely. Especially if you go in the vein of what Zoe shared earlier, the idea of respecting the other classrooms teach. It's a combined effort, and if you're not willing to learn their standards, why should they learn yours? Sure. And
Boom.
So it's a two-way street. Back to old reference. Yes.
Yep.
It has to be a two-way street, and so if these teachers that have been teaching general education for a long time are willing to place the effort to learn your stuff, you need to learn their stuff.
Yeah.
So then how does that shape your music classroom?
You asked a question about value. I gave an answer for that.
You specifically, John, like it's for everyone. So like I think Zoe, would you agree then? Like it'd be valuable for us to do that?
Yeah, I'm currently trying to do that for this course. Yeah. So I am part of the ILT this year.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Nice.
Yeah, so
which stands for
instructional
learning team,
right? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So it came up in our site ILT meeting that it would be great if the VAPA teachers could go observe. And our principal blocked out the last week of every quarter for us to prepare for whatever we're doing that quarter, whether it's the next quarter or like if it's a performance. He's just like, we're not doing it, because also minimum days on first and third quarter. So I blocked out some time where I just went to each grade level and I just poked my head in. I sent out an email ahead of time, but I'm just trying to like take in a little bit of inspiration, just be in the classroom for a few minutes, see how kids are acting, and try and see like what is a main strand that they're doing, whether it's their benchmark or like sixth grade, it's Egypt, But I'm trying to infuse that into like orff creation, composition.
That is my favorite thing I have to say about arts integration is seeing my students in a different context because they behave so differently in the general education classroom. Yeah. Like, and sometimes the teachers will ask me, like, have you ever had a problem with so-and-so? I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never had to redirect him, not once. Like, I'm shocked it's even a question. You know, there's one little boy in particular that I was shocked that the teacher was like, so how did he do in your class? Because it's just constant in general ed, I guess. But in music, he's just laser focused, and I mean, he's hilarious. He makes me laugh a lot. So just seeing where they excel and where they struggle, and kind of the defaults that they automatically plug into when they're in like their general ed setting as opposed to the music setting. It's so interesting. And they just don't know what to do when I walk into their normal classroom. They're like, Mrs. Pridmore's in here? Like, it's like seeing a teacher at the grocery store. It's like the same reaction. Like, you don't belong here, you know? Like,
back
you
to your
stay in
classroom.
yeah, you're in the wrong room. Yeah, so it's been interesting. I've been using a lot of math integration, or trying to just they've talked a lot about how the kids just really struggle with understanding numbers and their relationships to each other. But I mean, gosh, music is nothing but math, you know? If you're keeping a steady beat, if you're creating these complex rhythms. And sure, when we're reading music later, you know, quarter notes and half notes and all that good stuff working together, it's all mathematical. So that's been really interesting to kind of walk them through that, and then just to see the, like, oh, I get it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you're on your ILT. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
That
That's
is
been really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
You've kind of inspired me. I think I might
Pioneer.
see if I can do that.
Yeah, well, and our art teacher had been on the ILT in the
really?
previous years, and she's on maternity leave, so she's like,
okay,
"Can
I see.
you fill in while I'm gone?" And I didn't want to at first because I was like, "Oh, subplans, like I don't want to do it," but it's great, and I totally recommend. Like everything that my principal said, this might not be relevant to you because this is like English learner focused or math focused. It's all been relevant in some way. It's just understanding students better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
That is so interesting.
Then I feel like that gives you language then when you talk with your with your colleagues. That I think is the piece that I felt that I've missed out on, is I just don't have that, like, a good enough understanding of their language to when I speak to them, like, they understand that I understand what they are doing. And I think that, like, when it goes to advocacy, we need to learn the language of our, you know, our board members, of our superintendent, of the people who make the big decisions. Because then if we don't speak their language, they're not going to understand our language, you know?
True.
That to me kind of ties into this thing that I've been thinking about a lot, and I hope it comes out right. About how I really feel like as the pioneers, if you will, of what we're doing, just reestablishing this whole thing, we kind of have to think at a different level than I don't know what the person who comes after me is going to have to do. I don't. Maybe they won't need to worry about all these different things, but I feel like while we're in the process of convincing people that music is important and music is here to stay, we have to be experts in everything. So we have to learn all 7 grade levels worth of standards. We have to learn every acronym. We need to be volunteering for, you know, ILT and the union and whatever else we can get on. You know, John is on the union board at his school. Our voices need to be heard, or we'll be dismissed. And we need to toot our own horn because nobody's doing it for us, you know?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and just prove, like, we're just as equal as everybody else.
Right.
And and of course we care about the kids, and and our content is important, and it's challenging, and it's nurturing development and the brain in a different way. So, but until we have enough evidence stacked up for enough years, we're just going to have to take that extra step and be that much more legit.
Well, I think in a previous episode, a couple weeks ago, we talked about school culture. And so, like, how cool is just arts integration into changing that school culture, you know?
Right. Understanding that it's not this own siloed thing, but
Right.
it belongs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, as mentioned in an earlier episode, in order to keep the culture that you've established in the classroom, visibility needs to be there. And if you are being visible, like physically in the classrooms, like that adds to that culture. It helps sustain that culture that you're trying to create at the school site.
Yeah.
It was interesting hearing you guys talk about your own personal experiences, and I'm really glad you asked that question, Mark, about like what do you remember, because I think so much so many times the idea of fun in the classroom is so undervalued, but play and fun are memorable. They stand out. Those are the experiences that we remember. And so if we want learning to stick, it needs to be fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and bringing the arts into the classroom infuses joy, not just for the students, but for the teachers too, you know, when they find a way to excel in it. I think that they were told for so long, though, that it wasn't allowed, at least around where we work.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a new idea that an arts integrated classroom is a great place for children to thrive. But just because of how education funding and policy has worked for the last few decades, you know, it's been so contingent on high stakes testing, and on these extreme budget cuts that we've seen. You know, teachers are under a lot of pressure. Yeah. To make sure that the kids are performing in certain areas. So I understand the fear.
I had a thought bubble. While you were talking about like fun experiences, and you had your Renaissance tableau lady teacher. Okay, for like people that have never done a tableau or know what that is, maybe we could make some content later, about, like with us doing tableau.
What a tableau
like,
is.
Mark was like
it's like
famous
a statue.
in Arts Turnaround Arts Facebook. He's in their Facebook posts.
You were dedicated to that pose, man.
Can you tell what it was?
I can see it.
It was up and over. Like this.
Oh, you were up and over?
So I was standing, but I had one arm up and one arm over.
A waterfall.
Nailed it. No, you didn't.
No.
I was a tree.
You were a tree. Got it.
A beautiful tree.
Whatever you were that 100%.
I sure was. Be the best tree you can be.
That's right.
If you take anything away from this episode, be the best tree you can be.
Excellent.
Sorry, Zoe. You were saying.
Excellent.
No, I was just saying, well, let's do a tableau later.
Sure.
Cool.
Sweet. It's like a statue.
It's a statue
frozen scene
that tells a story.
Yes.
But see, so okay, just quick side note, and then we'll
go for it.
jump back into it. Our school is doing a program called VTS. It stands for Visual Thinking Strategies. I may have shared it with you before, but within it, you're allowed to ask 3 questions. So you show the kids an image, and you say, "What do you see?" And they say, "I see whatever it is." And then you follow up with a paraphrase, and then or what do you see that makes you say that? And then they continue their explanation. Then you're like, okay, what more can we find? And so I think tableaus are a really cool opportunity for a VTS session to happen, where you have this statue or whatever, and then like you can look at it and like, well, I see a tree. Okay, well, what do you see that makes you see it's a tree? Well, I noticed that like his arm's really high and it kind of looks like tree branches and this, that, and the other. And so using that art strategy to help give vocabulary and critical thinking in other areas, which then can be translated into like math. So when kids are looking at graphs, they can like slow down and be like, well, what do I see? I see this graph, I see these plot points or whatever it is that they're doing. What do I see? I'm going to say that, and then this line. And so then they can use
Hashtag accountable talk.
Yeah.
There's a buzzword. I like it. We talk a lot about vocabulary acquisition at our school since we have so many English learners, and so always looking to increase, and even our general ed kids, you know, our general population, just like trying to increase their academic language.
Yeah.
Right.
Writing is hard for kids, and it's been so fun those have been some of my favorite arts integration lessons, have been creative writing and adding vocabulary, and those have been fun. Like I have all these adjectives from Orff for movement words, and so Joshua Block did that thing where he scattered all these different words all over the floor, and then you got to go to every word and kind of play with it a little bit. Like Bob was one of them, or like bubble bounced, you know, it just, but dozens and dozens all over the floor. And I love scattering them out and saying, okay, what do you see that you don't recognize? And it was funny because they were like, why is Bob on the floor? Like, that's a name, you know? And so we talked about bobbing up and down, you know?
Yeah,
but they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But with that, like you can do that in the classroom with it's a movement activity that you're doing. And so like if you have vocab words for your unit, and then that could be like the kids' warm up that day.
Yeah.
So it's integrating
fun.
that, and then you're assessing essentially on the movement. Are they doing it correctly? And then are they like they're showing understanding if they're bobbing, when they're
Right.
supposed to, and that's when the vocab.
And then can they use it later that week in a creative writing exercise talking about a monster moving
Sure.
from one place to another, which
Named
is what
Bob.
we did. Named
Bob bobbed.
Bob. Bob
to the
bobbed.
Bob. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
very cool, guys.
Cool.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
the talk, and I love your guys' insight. It's super helpful, especially like for me since our school's full steam ahead in this art integration stuff.
It's
But
really cool.
I encourage everyone to find a teacher friend and maybe start integrating in their classroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed.
Come
Maybe
on.
Rosebank.
You know,
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
gonna start
that's seriously though, that's great advice. Like find a teacher friend, like find your fans. Find the people that are like, yeah, I want to do more VAPA in my room. The
Yeah.
ones that enthusiastically embrace it and then talk about it at the break room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is one of those microphones. Like it has a spring inside. So a little dollar store microphone. So
Okay.
it used to echo when you spoke into it.
Spoke into it.
Now it rattles.
Oh.
It didn't used to.
So are you supposed to imagine it rattling or
No,
echoing?
just a microphone, a little toy microphone. How
Okay.
would you use it in your music room?
Well, I actually use a non-plugged-in microphone for
Oh, okay. Ooh, a
visual
real
representation.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of in charge of all the sound equipment, and I'm just
Okay.
still in my room.
Perfect.
But yeah, I have an actual microphone, and then whenever whoever the speaker is or the singer is, the soloist, they're holding it or the microphone's pointing at them. So people the students have a visual representation of whose turn is it. Yeah.
That's good. Your turn to sing.
No. I think using it for those shy kids, like in kinder, who don't want to talk and who maybe talk really quiet. But if this echoes, like maybe it'll be a little bit louder for them if it's supposed to echo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, I don't know if this is how you use it. I think Sandra talked about, like, question and answer. Like,
Arioso.
yeah,
Nice.
and Arioso.
Yeah.
So you could sing, like, what did you eat for dinner today? And then when it's their turn,
I ate salad.
Yeah, exactly.
Good one,
then,
John.
Like, after they've all had a chance to practice it all together, then we're practicing that. Whose turn is it? Yeah.
Props are so important.
They
I
are.
love props. I love using them at every chance because it's like not only is it like sing into this like you're on stage, it's like now it's not just them singing, they have something to hold on to, and sometimes you just need a handle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you just need something to be like, this isn't just me, this is me and the microphone. And that mental block is just surpassed. So I have one that's covered in glitter
Ooh, okay.
that we use. It's
Yeah,
a
you
lot
do.
of fun. Yeah, of course. I also have a collection of stuffed friends in the music room. I have Forte and Fortissimo, the frogs. Forte goes and sits with the best singers in kindergarten who are singing the loudest, but in their singing voice.
singing
And
voice.
Fortissimo, since he's extra loud, he jumps
He's a
around the
little
room.
bit extra.
He's a little extra, so
Extra.
he hides, and so he's kind of like our year-long elf on the shelf. And the kid who
Okay.
finds Fortissimo first gets to hold him.
That's cool.
And then I also have Mozart the cow,
Mozart.
who also sits with everybody. So, yeah, they'll sing for an animal. They'll sing to get to hold the mic.
So before we get to the round of the week, I just want to say those watching and those listening, I really appreciate it. We all really appreciate it.
All of us.
I hope you're getting something good out of this, but something that would really help us to make sure we keep on making these podcasts happen. If you could go to the YouTubes, if you could hit that like and subscribe, that would help us a lot so that more people can learn more about chaotic harmony and be a part of our community and whatnot. Also, it would be very helpful if you could write us a review on iTunes or any other podcast streaming service you have. That way, again, more visibility, not just for other folk, but specifically for our teacher community folk, just so that we can all interact with one another.
That's right.
Yeah. And also, if you have a question, feel free to email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com.
Seriously, we'll be really thrilled you did.
Super.
We might throw a party.
Let's do
Like,
it.
oh my gosh, we got an email. Round of the week.
We are going to be doing Old Abram Brown.
Are we going to do the augmentation diminution?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, we have to give credit where it's due. So that was Cindy Keebler's idea.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
So we'll explain that later. This is Benjamin Britten. It's pretty fabulous.
I'm
So
not
who-
going to sing it. Someone else can.
Oh, okay.
So you're not gonna sing it?
No, well, I'll sing it all together, but I'm not by myself.
So wait, who's doing what?
Oh,
Let's
well,
first
let's
learn the
just
song.
sing
Let's
the
learn the
song
song. Yeah.
together. Okay, ready? Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. One more
Wait,
time.
that button?
That button, that's what the book says. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Let's do it in a
I know.
round real quick. Let's do the three parts, right?
I know.
Four part.
Now you're
Let's
not
do a
gonna
4-part
forget.
round.
I know.
Okay.
And then we'll do the
Augmentation, diminution.
Thank you.
Yes.
Big words. Okay. I'll start.
Okay.
Okay, you guys come in on the stars. Old Abram Brown is
Old
dead
Abram
and
Brown
gone.
is
You'll
dead
never
and Brown
see
is
him
dead and
more.
gone.
He
You'll
used
never
to
see
wear
him
a
more.
brown coat that buttoned
wear a long brown coat all buttoned down before.
I got off, sorry.
No,
Wait,
it's
what was-
fine. No, I repeated at the beginning. So it's really awesome, dude. When 5th and 6th grade gets this right, they sound so good and they're so proud of themselves. But sometimes, like, convincing them to sing this song is tricky. So, Cindy had the idea to have us all sing it like zombies rising from the dead, and it was really fun. So now we're old Abram Brown is dead and gone, and that was really appealing to 6th grade. So they got into it. Also, never underestimate the power of a fog machine if you have access to one.
Careful for smoke alarms.
Yeah. Are
With a
we-
fog machine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a musical, not a musical, a little play. The YMCA
awesome.
did, and they had a fog machine, and
It set it off.
yeah.
I've never had that problem. I've done both dry ice that I got from the science teacher 3 years ago and a fog machine. Never had that issue. So good to know. Good heads up. Okay, so John, you explained the
So,
activity.
augmentation, and we're going to essentially sing the same song. One person is going to sing the song regularly. The other person is going to sing the song, but twice as slow.
Diminution.
Diminution. And then the other person is going to sing the song twice as fast. Augmentation. And the way that Cindy explained it, the zombies were the diminution. The little mice, was it?
Yeah, it's the things that eat the dead people. So it's like the bugs and the mice, or ghosts, if you'd rather.
So they were the augmentation, and then
Yeah.
just the farmers were the.
I have
regular
this
people.
very vivid picture in my head of Victoria Bowler, like being the augmentation. She was really good at it. I was a diminution, so it's fun. Okay, so I'll be normal.
You'll be like a farmer.
Normal.
I'll be diminution then. I'll be Sloan.
Okay, sweet.
Mark, you want to do fast?
Sure.
And Zoe, you just want to jump on someone else? Like physically?
Jump on me, Zoe. Yeah, exactly. The boys can do the crazy
Okay.
stuff. Ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. That was a disaster.
I couldn't find it. That's
Okay.
my bad, guys.
Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. You want to try it again real quick?
No.
Straight.
Okay.
One more. Mark,
What?
want to do it normal?
Sure.
Yeah, do it normal, Mark. Ready?
It's because Mark's messed up.
All of us at the
That's
same
weird.
time. That's
No,
okay.
that's fine.
Here we go.
Old
Abram Brown is dead.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
You do it slow from the beginning.
Nope,
Brown.
can't do it.
You want to do a slow one?
That's fine.
'Kay.
I'll just sit here.
Here we go.
Old Abram Brown is dead and
You'll
gone.
never see him
Gone.
more.
You'll
He used to wear a
never
long
see
brown coat,
him
all buttoned down
more.
before.
He
Old Abram
used
Brown
to
is dead and
wear
gone.
a
You'll
long
never see
brown
him
coat,
more.
all
He used to wear a long
buttoned
brown coat, all buttoned down
before.
before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone. You'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before.
Buttoned down before.
So do that with kindergarten.
Yeah, pre-K. Start with pre-K.
Yeah.
In my head, it's
And then
sixth grade would be
awesome.
Such
Yeah.
a better job.
Right.
Cool.
Highly recommend. All right.
Well,
Hopefully.
happy Halloween next
Happy
week.
Halloween. Do you guys have costumes you wear to school?
No. Well, we do a literature parade.
Oh,
That's
same here.
cute.
So cute.
No.
I'm Professor Ravenclaw. I really
Nice.
like. I have my robes.
I'm a
Professor
Hufflepuff.
Oh, of course you are.
Makes a lot
Me
of sense.
too.
Dave Thaxton hacked the Harry Potter theme for a glockenspiel, so I walk around with the soprano glockenspiel playing dun 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 dun.
Nice.
Dun, dun.
What do you think?
It's cute.
It's
Slytherin.
awesome.
With Miss
Or
Lily?
You?
Ravenclaw. See, it's Slytherin.
I see
Ravenclaw.
you as Ravenclaw.
Zoe?
Ravenclaw.
Gryffindor.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Interesting.
Everyone wants to be
What's
a
your house,
Gryffindor.
Zoe?
Hufflepuff.
Oh, okay. 2 Hufflepuffs,
Slytherin, really?
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
No.
1
I'm a
Gryffindor.
Hufflepuff.
There's nothing wrong with
I'm a
Slytherin.
Pikachu.
All right, Zoe, where can we find you?
I'm at Ms. Kumagai.
I'm at Mrs. Pridmore.
I'm at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman.
And I'm at Mr. Keehmer. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Sound.
Bye.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at @CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Brian Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
So I was thinking, instead of augmentation, or like,
We just finished, Brian.
what if we call it, it would be like the Twista version.
Twista.
remember Twista?
No, it's alright.
game?
I couldn't find that
Oh,
stupid.
no, the rapper.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
always like rapping like double time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.